In this homework example, you're asked to perform the indicated operations. Enter D and E if the answer does not exist. So let's just take a look and try to get an overview of the type of problems we have here. I'm seeing that they're mostly division problems. We have a couple of multiplication problems. And lots of them involve dividing by 1 or dividing by a number by itself or its opposite. In addition, we also have some problems where we're multiplying or dividing by 0. So let's take these one at a time. And a useful tool when you're not sure what to do is to think back to whole numbers. So if we had 6 divided by 1, that's asking how many 1's are in 6. Well, there are 6 1's in 6. 6 is made up of 6 1's. Similarly, this is asking how many 1's are in 5.7. Well, there's 5.7 1's in 5.7. And in general, that will be the case. So let's write this. If you divide a number where a is any number, don't let the letters bother you. If you divide any number by 1, it equals the number itself. So in this next one, we're dividing negative 5.7 divided by 1. Okay. Well, that's asking how many 1's are in negative 5.7. And the answer is negative 5.7. Let's look at the next one. This one is negative 5.7 divided by negative 5.7. So let's look at an example with whole numbers again to make this a little bit easier. What if you divided 7 by 7? Well, that's asking how many groups of 7 are in 7. Well, there's 1. And in general, for any division problem, if you divide, I'm going to use the letter B, divide a number by itself, the result is 1. So this will be 1. Now here, it's not a number divided by itself, it's the opposite of a number divided by itself. So let's look at this with integers again. So here we had 7 divided by 7 is 1. Well, what would we do if we had 7 divided by negative 7? Well, we said, and we developed these ideas, that if you divide two numbers and their signs are opposites, you can divide their absolute values. So divide 7 by 7. And then if the signs are different, that means your answer is negative. Okay, so if you divide a positive by a negative, or if you divide a negative by a positive, the result is negative 1. So both of these will be negative 1. And we could say in general, c divided by negative c is negative 1. So that's representing any number and its opposite. And the reverse order is also true. So here we have 5.7 divided by itself. Well, that's like this problem. A number divided by itself is 1. Okay. Now we have 0 divided by 5.7. So let's look at one with whole numbers. What if we had 0 divided by 3? So this asks how many groups of size 3 are in 0? Or equivalently, you could think of how many 3's would I have to add up to get to 0, starting at 0? Well, 0 3's. So our result here, even though it's a decimal, the same rules hold. 0 divided by any number except 0. Okay, so 0 divided by d. We're going to say d is not 0. We'll see that special case in a minute. Will give us 0. Now we have, this one is similar to this one. We multiply, oh, no it's not, I'm sorry, it's multiplication. If we multiply a number by 1, it also equals itself. So you would have 6 copies of 1, this is 5.7 copies of 1. Well, that will be 5.7. multiplying by 0. So even though they're decimals, 0 times any number is going to be 0. Here we have negative 5.7 times 0. This is also 0. So you have 0 copies of 5.7. Negative 5.7 copies of 0. In either case, it's 0. Now here we have a division problem, but we're dividing by negative 1 instead of positive 1 like we did up here. So let's think about this. We can use the same idea we used here. Okay. If you're going to divide two numbers, you divide their absolute values. Well, 5.7 divided by 1 is 5.7. And then we said if the signs are the same, then the answer is positive. If the signs are different, then the answer is negative. So since both of these signs are negative, the result is positive. And finally, we have one last question. And this one is a little bit tricky. I cleared some room so we can explain it. And there's a few ways we can think about this, but let's just take a look at one way. We're going to think of the missing factor model. So let's look at an example like 12 divided by 3 equals some number. And we know that number is 4, but let's pretend like we didn't. So if 12 divided by 3 equals some number, we could write that as 3 times some number equals 12. So that's how we could write a division problem as a missing factor problem. Then we could say, well, what do I multiply by 3 to get 12? And the result would be 4. So now let's do this with dividing by 0. Okay, so negative 5.7 divided by 0. So notice, comparing, the 0 is like the 3. So 0 times question mark equals, and the 12 is like the negative 5.7. They're in the corresponding spots. So dividing by 0, this is like saying 0 times what number equals negative 5.7. But we already saw when you multiply a number by 0, you get 0. So there is no such number. So the answer does not exist. And remember from the directions, we are going to type in DNE as your answer for that one.